November 22nd, 2025. This date is exploding across every Pi network community right now, and you know what? Almost everyone has it completely wrong. Listen carefully because I'm about to reveal what's actually happening on this date, and it has nothing to do with Pi listing on exchanges. This is about something way bigger, a global banking revolution called ISO 2022, and Pi network is positioning itself to be part of it. You know, the open mainnet already launched back in February, so if you're waiting for November 22nd thinking that's when Pi goes live, you need to hear the real story right now because this misunderstanding is causing pioneers to miss the actual significance of what's coming. Here's the truth that nobody's talking about. November 22nd is the final deadline for every bank and financial institution worldwide to migrate to ISO 2022, the new global financial messaging standard. Pi's connection to this date isn't about launching, it's about potentially integrating with the actual global banking system that moves trillions of dollars every single day. You know, make sure you're following my Telegram and Facebook page, links are in the description below, because I'm breaking down these developments in real time with exclusive updates you won't find anywhere else. What I'm about to show you will completely change how you see Pi's future, and honestly, most pioneers have absolutely no idea this is even happening while they're busy chasing fake listing rumors. So, let's break down exactly what's going on here, you know. Thousands of posts across YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and X are claiming that November 22nd, 2025 is when Pi finally becomes tradable on major global exchanges, but here's what actually happened. People are mixing up two completely different events. The open mainnet of Pi Network already launched on February 20th, 2025 at 8 a.m. UTC. That was when the firewall around the enclosed ecosystem was removed, allowing Pi to operate more openly. Millions of KYC verifications were completed, balances migrated to the blockchain, and the ecosystem started developing real utility. So the launch already happened, guys. November 22nd is something entirely different. Here's where it gets really interesting, you know. November 22nd, 2025 is the final deadline for banks and financial institutions around the world to fully migrate to ISO 2022. This is the new global financial messaging standard that's replacing the old SWIFT MT system that's been running international money transfers for decades. You know, ISO 2022 enables faster transactions, lower costs, better security, and way more transparency with richer data and superior fraud detection. Major digital assets like Ripple's XRP and Stellar's XLM have already aligned with this standard, and that's exactly where Pi Network seems to be heading. You know, if Pi becomes aligned with ISO 2022 standards, three massive advantages unlock for every pioneer. First, global legitimacy. ISO compliance increases trust from banks, governments, and regulators, positioning Pi as a credible digital currency rather than just a mobile mining project that your skeptical friends joke about. Second, integration with banks and fintech systems becomes possible. We're talking about Pi potentially being used for international remittances, merchant payments, and actual digital banking services. Third, real-world functionality explodes because ISO 2022 supports structured, data-rich transactions that make Pi suitable for everyday financial use and legitimate cross-border payments. You know, this is literally the bridge between Pi Network and the traditional global financial world. So, what actually happens after November 22nd, 2025? You know, the date isn't a Pi launch day at all, it's a strategic horizon, a moment when the world's financial infrastructure becomes fully compatible with Pi's long-term vision. At that point, governments could begin recognizing Pi more formally, and mass adoption could become realistically achievable instead of just wishful thinking. In terms of currency and finance, we're talking about long-term integration into global systems, not some overnight pump. You know, the focus is on building something that lasts, not creating another pump and dump situation. Now let me keep it absolutely real with you because you know that's what this channel is about. It's crucial to understand that November 22nd is a deadline for the traditional banking system's migration, not a Pi Network launch date. Official Pi sources have cautioned the community against fake news and the spread of unverified dates. You know, assigning a listing date for Pi creates unrealistic expectations and honestly opens the door for scammers and price manipulation. The Pi core team has never confirmed November 22nd, 2025 as any type of Pi launch event. It's simply an external financial system milestone, not a Pi release. The true focus remains on community growth, KYC completion, and ecosystem development. Pi Network continues to move forward with a slow, methodical, and strategic plan aimed at long-term success. The open mainnet is already here and functioning. What November 22, 2025 represents is a moment where Pi could align with the future of global finance through ISO 20122 compliance. There are thousands of people claiming that November could mark the point when Pi operates as a globally recognized interoperable currency, not through hype or wild speculation, but through real utility and actual global compliance. Pioneers need to focus on building the ecosystem, supporting utility development, and staying informed rather than chasing speculative dates and rumors. The vision is honestly way bigger than a single moment in time. Pi is working toward a future where millions can use it in everyday life across borders and within the global economy. This isn't about getting rich quick, it's about building something that could truly integrate into how the world moves money. After looking closely at the ISO 20122 connection, I'm cautiously optimistic but staying realistic. The fact that Pi aims to align with global banking standards shows real long-term strategy, not hype. But let's be honest, compliance and integration with traditional finance take time. It won't happen overnight, no matter what anyone says. What actually excites me is that Pi seems to be playing the long game, rather than trying to pump and dump like so many other projects. That's how real, lasting projects are built. But here's my concern, and I need to say this. We still need to see concrete execution. Talk is cheap, delivering is what matters. The roadmap sounds impressive, but following through is where the rubber meets the road. My honest advice to you, stay informed, definitely keep your Pi because the potential is there, support the ecosystem where you can, but also maintain realistic expectations. Don't bet your entire financial future on this or any single crypto project. The ISO 2022 alignment could genuinely be transformative if, and this is a big if, Pi executes properly and actually delivers on integration. But there's still tons of work ahead, regulatory hurdles to clear and technical challenges to overcome. I'm holding my Pi not because I expect to retire next year, but because I believe there's a real possibility this could become something genuinely significant in the next few years, if the team delivers on their vision. That's my honest take with no sugarcoating. Stay patient, stay realistic, and let's see if they can actually pull this off. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening with Pi Network, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment below telling me whether you think ISO 2022 compliance could genuinely be Pi's game changer, or if you think I'm being too optimistic. Make absolutely sure you're subscribed with notifications on because I'll be covering every major development as we approach November 22nd and beyond. Don't forget to follow my Telegram and Facebook pages linked in the description for exclusive updates and real-time analysis that I don't always share on YouTube. This is your Pi News world, keeping you informed, educated, and honestly ahead of the game. The revolution isn't coming on one specific date, guys. It's being built right now, step by step, and you're part of this journey. Stay patient, stay informed, and let's navigate this together. See you in the next one, pioneers.